Find a comfortable position. Let your body settle without hurry. There is nothing you need to hold upright now. Nothing you need to keep carrying from one part of the afternoon into the next. Today's story is called A Quiet Afternoon Nap in a Bell Tent. The Bell Tent has already been holding the day for a long while. Outside, the afternoon still lies broad across the grass and the pale track through the field. It still rests on the tops of shrubs, on the edges of leaves, on the rougher ground beyond the tent ropes. But inside the canvas, the day has already changed its nature. The brightness no longer falls in one open, uninterrupted wash. It comes filtered through fabric, through the tied back opening, through one curved wall catching more of the sun than another. A pale patch rests across the bedding. A softer glow reaches the rug near the doorway. A dimmer wash lies higher up the tent wall, where the canvas has been warming quietly for hours. The whole interior feels sheltered from the day without being separated from it. The doorway is only a threshold for a moment. Then the body is already inside the softer air. The grass beyond the flap is still bright, and the field outside still open, but one step inward changes the scale of everything. The canvas rises around you in a gentle curve rather than a hard angle. The ground beneath the rug or mat is steadier than the earth outside. The air does not move through the tent the way it moves through open space. It rests differently here. The light does too. Even before you sit down, the room has begun doing some of the work. The bed is the clearest truth in the tent. Whether it is a low mattress laid over layered rugs or a camp bed softened with blankets and a quilt, it has the same quality at once. It looks ready to take the body without negotiation. The bedding lies flatter in the middle than at the edges, where fabric gathers and folds remain a little less pressed. A pillow waits at one end. A folded blanket lies nearby, close enough to reach later if it is wanted. Nothing about it feels staged. It feels used in the best way, prepared not for display, but for rest. You lower yourself onto it, and the bed receives you immediately. The bedding gives first beneath the backs of the legs, then more fully under the hips. One hand may come to rest beside you on the cover. The other may steady briefly against the mattress edge, or the floor beside it, or a nearby cushion if one has been left there. The body does not need to test many positions. The support is already there. The softness, where it matters, is already there. The tent is too contained for indecision to last long inside it. The fabric beneath your hand tells the truth about itself. The top layer may be cotton, worn a little smoother through repeated afternoons of use, or perhaps it is a thicker woven cover laid over softer padding beneath. Either way, the surface under the fingers carries the same message. It has held stillness before. A seam lies flatter in one place than another. One fold is warmer where the filtered light has rested on it. Another keeps more of the tent's gentler shade. None of it asks to be admired. It only reassures. Above and around you, the canvas walls hold their shape in a long, easy curve. The bell of the tent rises higher than the bed and falls away again toward the ground, so that even in this small enclosed place there is no sense of sharp corners or interruption. The poles and seams do their work quietly. One seam catches a little more of the afternoon and shows more clearly. Another disappears into pale shade. The tie back at the entrance holds one side of the opening away from the air, but not dramatically. The fabric is simply drawn aside enough to let the summer beyond remain visible as brightness, and color without turning it into a scene the body must follow. The air in the tent is warm, but not heavy. It has been kept by canvas and rugs and layered cloth through the afternoon. It lingers in the bedding, in the woven mat near the bed, in the upper part of the wall where the sun has touched it longest. But the opening at the front and the softness of the enclosed shade keep the warmth from gathering too thickly. It is the kind of warmth that meets the body slowly enough to feel restful rather than close. The shoulders notice it first, then the hands, then the place where one sleeve holds a little of it after resting in the filtered light. You let a little more of your weight go into the bed. The hips settle. The lower back finds the place where the mattress or layered blankets begin to carry rather than merely hold. One shoulder eases toward the pillow. The hand resting on the cover no longer feels ready for the next task. The tent around the bed asks very little. A low crate or table may stand nearby, close enough that the hand could reach it without effort. If a mug rests there, it remains quiet and irrelevant now. If a book lies closed on top, its cover catches a little light at one edge and then does not matter again. A rug beneath the bed shows more wear through the middle than at the edges. A blanket fold near your knee holds a denser line where it doubles back against itself. The interior has enough objects to feel inhabited, but not enough to create work. Everything belongs to rest or to what has already finished being needed. The light reaches you in careful pieces. A warmer patch across one knee, a paler line along the edge of the bedding, a softened brightness on the inside of the canvas wall where the sun is strongest beyond it, a dimmer region beneath that where the curve of the tent turns away and the shade deepens. Outside, the day may still be broad and open. Inside, it has already been broken into portions small enough for the body to live among quietly. You shift once, only enough to let the tent take more of you. Perhaps one leg turns a little. Perhaps the shoulder nearer the pillow leans more fully into it. Perhaps the head changes its angle toward the doorway or away from it. The movement does not need to be exact. The room has already reduced the choices the body would otherwise keep making. The bed is here. The pillow is here. The opening is there, softened and held at a distance. The canvas walls curve around all of it with no need for anything sharper or more deliberate. The field outside the opening remains visible enough to reassure. There is still summer beyond the flap, still brightness, still open ground, grasses, perhaps the edge of a hedge or a line of trees further off. But from where you sit now, the opening matters more than the field itself. The tied back canvas, the edge of the shadow where the tent interior begins, the line of light on the rug near the entrance. These are nearer truths. Outside has become the gentler beyond layer. It no longer asks to be entered. It only remains where it is while you stay here. The first settling happens quietly. The shoulders lose some of the shape they brought in from the day. The knees grow heavier. The hands begin to belong to rest rather than readiness. You no longer feel placed in the tent by decision. You begin to feel received there instead. That receiving deepens quickly because the room is so close and sufficient. There is no wide room around you to hold yourself against. No distance between one useful thing and the next. Everything belongs to reach. The bed beneath, the pillow at one end, the folded blanket nearby, the low table if there is one, the flap and opening, the canvas wall within sight and within the same small field of attention. The body no longer has to divide itself across a larger environment. The longer you remain, the more the tent seems to gather itself around the bed. The walls do not close in. They simply keep the room from becoming larger than it needs to be. The opening does not spill the whole day inside. It lets in only what the interior can hold quietly. The rug does not act as floor in any strong sense anymore. It becomes part of the bed's immediate field. Even the little table or crate, if it remains in view at all, belongs to the same contained logic. Everything is here in relation to where the body is resting. The bedding tells the truth about itself the longer you remain on it. The mattress yields more at the center than at the edge. The upper cover lies smoother where repeated afternoons must have pressed it into shape. A fold at the side gathers more densely than the rest. The pillow is firmer where it meets the mattress and softer at the side where the head will settle later. None of these details needs to hold the attention for long. They only reassure. The bed has held stillness before. It knows what weight feels like when it begins to rest. The canvas continues its quiet work. One wall brightens a little as the sun shifts beyond it. Another loses a degree of gold and becomes more even. Near the opening, the brightness on the rug changes by one calm shade, then steadies again. These changes arrive not as outdoor events, but as altered light in a room already at rest. The tent has already translated the day into something gentler than itself. Your back gives more fully to the support behind it. At first, the pillow was only there. Now it begins to carry you. One shoulder softens, then the other. The neck keeps less of its old upright line. A little more of the day leaves you through the simple fact of no longer holding yourself as though you must get up again at once. The tent is already measured by reach now. The blanket beneath one hand, the pillow at one side, the table or crate, the flap, the canvas wall, the rug under the bed. After that, very little. The bell tent has ceased to be a place you are sitting inside and become a small arrangement of surfaces and supports within which the body can stop accounting for the day. The opening outside remains only as softened brightness beyond the flap, no longer a place to walk into, no longer a view to follow, only the pale continuation of summer beyond the tent. You shift again, more slowly this time. The hips settle deeper. The weight at the base of the spine gives more fully to the mattress. One hand may slip lower into the lap. The other may rest against the pillow or along the edge where blanket meets bed. The head begins to understand what it would mean to lean more fully later, though it does not need to yet. The light at the opening changes once more. This time the effect reaches you more through the skin than the eye. The warmer strip across your knee narrows. The bedding loses a little of its pale glow. The inside canvas wall becomes more even. Then the brightness returns by one quiet degree. None of it is enough to disturb. Felt through the body instead of watched, these changes become part of the nap logic. The smallness of the bell tent becomes a comfort in a deeper way now. Because nothing is far from anything else, the body no longer needs to orient itself to space. The pillow is close. The opening is close. The blanket is close. The bed length of the mattress is enough. There is no need to decide what in the room matters most. The room has already made that decision. The bed is the center. Everything else belongs only as it supports that fact. Perhaps the folded blanket lies close enough to touch. Its edge is denser where it folds back against itself. A corner curls softly over the cover. It remains there not as decoration, but as a simple permission. Later, if wanted, it can be drawn higher. For now, its presence is enough. It adds to the sense that the tent already knows what afternoon rest requires and has quietly kept the necessary things close. The little table or crate nearby may hold almost nothing. That emptiness matters too. In a room this size, an empty surface becomes its own kind of reassurance. It means there is nothing else to manage. If a mug remains there, it does not ask to be lifted. If a book remains there, it does not ask to be opened. The room has crossed the line beyond which objects no longer invite action. They simply remain where they were left. Your breathing slows a little, not deeply, not in any dramatic or deliberate way, only enough that the upper body no longer works so hard at it. The bed notices first. The bedding beneath the back receives more weight. The shoulders settle another small fraction. The room grows quieter not because the field beyond the flap has stopped changing, but because you have begun to participate less in whatever still continues outside. The opening remains where it was, bright enough to reassure, dim enough to be harmless. Earlier, it framed the outside world. Now it functions more like the edge of the room's own atmosphere. The tied-back flap keeps the day from arriving too broadly. The canvas and the doorway together turn outside into a pale beyond layer, and let the bed become the true world of the story. You belong to the bed now more than to the day outside. That shift happens fully here, before lying down, before any final movement into deeper rest. It happens because the body has stopped relating to the tent as a place entered briefly and started relating to it as a place to remain. The body no longer belongs equally to all its old directions, not to the field beyond the flap, not to the grass outside the entrance, not to the bright summer air around the tent. It belongs to mattress, pillow, blanket fold, rug edge, crate, flap, and the near few feet of room that hold all of them together. The next movement feels natural when it comes. You do not decide in any formal sense to lie down. The bed and the afternoon have already been arranging themselves in that direction from the moment you sat. The movement begins quietly. One shoulder eases back further into the pillow. The hand that rested in your lap shifts onto the cover. One leg draws in a little more or lengthens, depending on what the mattress asks of your body. The spine gives up another degree of uprightness. Then the body turns more fully into the bedding. The mattress receives the shift without protest. The fabric changes under you in the smallest ways, a wrinkle smoothing, a fold gathering, the deeper part of the bed taking more of the hips than before. One hand may rest briefly at the pillow or along the mattress edge while the head lowers. The tent is so contained that this turn does not feel like crossing a room or even changing position very far. It feels like the smaller continuation of a rest already underway. You ease down in stages. The back lowers first, then the shoulders, then the hips settle further from the seat edge attitude they had kept. The head comes later, once the pillow has already made clear where it will receive it. That gradualness matters. Nothing in the tent asks for collapse. Nothing in it asks for ceremony either. The mattress has always been here. The pillow has always been waiting. The opening has always been holding the afternoon at just enough distance. Lying down is only the next truthful thing. The body changes scale once fully on the bed. What had been a small room with a bed becomes now a bed with a few nearby boundaries. The crate or low table is no longer furniture across from you. It is only a horizontal edge within the body's near field. The flap is no longer the entrance. It is the softened source of brightness just beyond the pillow line. The tent itself begins to shrink to bed scale. The pillow under your head is not elaborate. It does not need to be. It is enough. It supports the base of the skull and the line of the neck without making itself into an event. The head settles into it gradually. One side of the face may turn a little into the fabric. The neck stops maintaining its old angle. The shoulders, already eased lower, no longer ask for the same inward brace they carried while sitting. A deeper quiet begins there first. You draw the blanket over yourself now. Its weight gathers first at the knees, then over the shins, then higher across the lap and middle. It is not heavy, only sufficient. The kind of blanket that keeps warmth close without making itself strongly felt. It holds the air beneath it at once. That makes a difference almost immediately. The mattress, the blanket, and the tent begin to work together, and because they do, the body no longer has to keep its own warmth so vigilantly. The opening remains at the right distance. From lying down, the outside is reduced further. Perhaps only the upper brightness of the field remains. Perhaps one strip of pale day between the tied-back flap and the edge of the canvas. Perhaps the softened shape of grass or low branches beyond, no longer distinct enough to matter. The world continues, but only as dimmed summer beyond fabric and light. The body no longer needs it in any stronger form. The blanket settles more evenly. The knees stop belonging to movement and begin belonging to weight. The thighs no longer hold themselves ready. The feet do not need the ground anymore. One hand may rest on top of the blanket. The other may lie near the pillow or against the mattress edge. Both become still almost at once. Their stillness feels different now than it did while sitting. It is no longer temporary stillness. It is closer to the stillness of something that expects to remain this way. The bell tent continues to shrink around that. No larger room remains in active awareness. No description of corners or ropes or floor. Only the mattress, the blanket, the pillow, the opening holding softened daylight, the crate edge within reach if needed, the canvas wall, the small warm air of the tent. That is the room now. A little more of your weight gives way. The lower back settles. The shoulder nearest the pillow sinks. The side of the head rests more fully. You are not yet asleep, but you are no longer holding yourself above rest in any serious way. The brightness outside goes on changing by degrees. Perhaps the field beyond the flap loses some of its sharper glare and becomes more even. Perhaps the patch on the canvas wall softens. Perhaps one line of light near the entrance lowers by a quiet shade. These changes no longer feel external. They arrive only as alterations in the tent's own tone, and the room is already too close and too trusted to wake the body with them. The mattress does more of the work now than the body does. It supports the length of you. It carries the hips. It keeps the blanket from slipping away. It holds the pillow in place. The bell tent becomes, for the purposes of this nap, not a campsite shelter or a styled retreat or any kind of novelty at all, but simply a small fabric shape around a resting body. The body begins to notice less. The crate opposite matters less than before. If there is a book there, it has become no more than a pale rectangle. If there is a mug, its shape no longer asks to be read. The flap matters less as entrance and more as softened source of brightness. The blanket matters less as textile and more as the gentle weight that stays over you. Presence begins replacing function. The mattress beneath you, the pillow at your head, the blanket over your middle and legs, the softened afternoon beyond the flap, the crate edge, the near canvas wall. After that, less and less. A breath passes more slowly, then another. The blanket rises a little, then settles. The mattress receives the movement, then holds still again. That rhythm matters more now than anything beyond the tent. If there is still a field outside, it does not ask to be followed. If summer still lies broad beyond the flap, it does so without needing witness. If the afternoon grows later, it does so beyond fabric and grass, while here the room has already reached the right stillness. Inside, pillow, blanket, mattress, breath, that is enough. The room grows quieter not by losing sound entirely, but by losing the body's investment in anything beyond these nearest things. A distant insect note outside, if there is one, reaches you only as a softened trace. A small movement of brightness at the entrance does not become an event. The tent has reduced everything so well that what remains useful now is nearly all within touching distance. You belong fully to the bed at last. The shoulders no longer keep any reserve. The neck does not correct. The hands rest where they came to rest. The legs stay where the blanket holds them. This is not a dramatic threshold, only the point at which the body stops negotiating with support and simply inhabits it. The nearer objects begin to lose even their names. The mattress is no longer a bed in a tent. It is simply what lies under you and keeps you held. The flap is no longer an opening to the field. It is simply the softened source of brightness. The crate is no longer furniture. It is simply the low plane across from you, now barely relevant. The blanket is no longer something you drew over yourself. It is simply the warm weight above the legs and middle. This is the final narrowing of the nap, not emptiness, only sufficiency. Nothing more is needed than this. The pillow supports the head. The mattress supports the body. The blanket keeps the warmth close. The opening keeps the day gentle. The tent keeps the whole arrangement small enough that the body does not have to carry any wider world for a while. A long stillness passes like that, made of almost nothing more than these few continuities. The blanket holding warmth, the mattress supporting your weight, the pillow keeping the head, the canvas softening the afternoon, the breath lifting, and settling without disturbing anything else. If some outside brightness still shifts beyond the flap, it shifts too softly to matter. If the field continues on the other side of the opening, it continues without asking anything. If the day grows later, it does, so beyond grass and fabric, while here the room has already reached the right stillness. What remains nearest is smaller than all of that. The pillow, the blanket, the mattress beneath your back and hips, the faded brightness beyond the flap, the quiet weight of your hands, the slow rise and fall of breath, and after that, less and less to notice. The Bell tent no longer asks to be described. The bedding no longer asks to be understood. They have already done their work. The body no longer listens for what changes. It rests in what remains. The pillow keeps the head. The blanket keeps the warmth. The mattress keeps the body from the ground and from the larger day beyond the opening. The canvas keeps the field and summer brightness at exactly the right distance. A breath passes, then another. Nothing interrupts, nothing enters. Nothing asks for one more shift, one more outward glance, one more thought before drifting. Only the mattress beneath you, the small enclosed afternoon, the softened light through canvas and flap, the body no longer carrying itself alone. Then even those distinctions begin to soften until there is almost nothing left but the feeling of being quietly held inside one soft summer shelter while the afternoon continues gently outside.